Dobry wieczór Państwu, dzień dobry właściwie. Zależnie od tego, do której Państwo wczoraj balowali. Ja się nazywam Łukasz Kamiński, jestem dziennikarzem, jestem też członkiem ekipy robiącej Music Week Poland. To jest nowy showcase w Warszawie w czerwcu tego roku. I dzisiaj porozmawiamy o showcase'ach, czyli o czymś, na czym Państwo są tutaj, więc będziemy rozmawiać o czymś dość oczywistym, ale mam nadzieję, że w nieoczywisty sposób. Panel będzie po angielsku, więc jeżeli Państwo mają jakieś pytania albo czegoś nie zrozumieją, to proszę podnieść rękę i dopytamy i doszczegółowimy. Moi goście zaraz sami się przedstawią, ja tylko powiem, że jest Danish z Węgier, Ewa z Estonii i Cezar z Hiszpanii. I to są ludzie, którzy zjedli zęby na showcase'ach i na festiwalach muzycznych. Ale zanim się przedstawią, zaczniemy od trochę innego pytania, już po angielsku. So guys, the first question would be like I told you before our meeting over here. Could you please tell me the best showcase experience that you ever had? Which showcase was it and why was it so good? And why should it be a benchmark for showcase festivals?
Hello, yes. Hi, I'm Eva. Nice to see you all here. The best showcase festival, I think I have to say that I think compared to the rest of the panelists, I've been to less showcase festivals, but so far the best that I've been to definitely is Ment in Ljubljana. It's a rather smaller event, and I think that's why it's the best. It's very compact. You really get to know the people that are there. You really get to know the other delegates, the artists, and their artistic curation is extremely strong. It's a very good festival. I really would recommend going there.
Cool. Hello. Gotta say thank you to the next festival. It's my first time in Poland. I'm very happy to be here and meet you all, and the great music from Polska. So thank you. My name is Cesar. I'm from Spain. I've been going to showcase festivals and conferences for many years. So probably, last year I did 22. So all the time around the world seeing festivals, had incredible experiences in most of them. Basically, I always try to be positive and get the best of every conference. But to answer this question, one that really touched my heart is a little one in Valdivia, a small town in south of Chile. It's called Fluvial. It's very boutique, very small, very focused in the Chilean music. Also, the native population, indigenous people of Mapuche from Chile. And actually, it was really important and touching for me because it was the first one. It happened in December 2020. So it was the first one during the pandemic, actually. It happened during the pandemic. So it was a massive long flight of 16 hours with masks and stuff, and actually nearly canceled because the Chilean government was really tough on the vaccines and everything. But once I got to Valdivia, there is incredible little town full of water, the Mapuche culture, the music, the sea lions, the food and everything. I was like in heaven, so I'll keep it in my heart forever.
Hi guys, my name is Dénes from Budapest. I've been to quite a few showcases, and I think there is not one best, but I have many good experiences. I could easily say Next Fest because it would be an honest answer, but that would be boring to say here. But yeah, this showcase is high quality in many measurements. I could also say Bush, but that wouldn't be fair, and it wouldn't be true, but still you should come and visit Bush. But really, I think the obvious choice should be Zandari Festa in South Korea, Seoul, and the reason why is because they don't sweat to sell you the ideals or sell you the particular bands. There is not even a conference part, which is weird. And actually a conference part is always useful, in my opinion, and I get inspired by talks. Still, since it's a smaller showcase, you get to hang out with all of the delegates for 3 days. You are in Seoul. Obviously, for us Europeans, it's a faraway place, so it's easier to connect with a guy from Spain or from the UK for a Hungarian than if we were at Reeperbahn or Eurosonic. And also the way they selected the delegates, it's like a completely different approach. The organizers of Zandari believe in community much more than other business tactics, and if they re-invite the same people that they feel good about and like, no matter if that person is a huge dog from a big festival or just a manager of a band, community will always be useful, and if you build a strong connection between the delegates, then they will eventually start helping each other and working together, and that's what the showcase is about. So they actually reach their goal in a very different approach than what we do here in Europe, and I really like that.
So you guys mentioned Korea, Chile, and Europe meant Ljubljana. So tell me, because I have the feeling that showcase festivals right now are all over the world. There's never been, I think, point in music history, there have been so many music showcase festivals and conferences. Haven't you reached a point of oversaturation with showcase festivals, or do you feel there's still room for more? Or maybe the old ones should make way for the new ones? Because we all know Eurosonic, Reeperbahn, and The Great Escape, but there's a lot of new great showcase festivals. So are we at the tipping point, melting point, or is this still a long way to go?
I think the more is the merrier, you know, it's like, to the main question of the showcase needed. I think they're all needed. Different thing is that they are good enough or not good enough, but the more the merrier, and especially like you were mentioned this in our warm-up call, you know, it's like, especially in Eastern Europe. I mean, if there were not showcases here, I wouldn't come here to discover incredible talent from Poland or Estonia or Hungary, or I went to Bucharest last year, Bulgaria, so many places. So I think it's a great opportunity, and there's still more countries that I'm sure that they need to showcase festival, especially in Latin America. There's incredible continent with incredible talent. They're conquering the United States, the Latin music, and most of the countries, they don't have a showcase conference in Latin America.
Yeah, I agree. If there is a space and a need for it, then it's great. Yeah, there's a lot of new ones popping up also sort of in our region. Music Week Riga is starting this year for the first time. And I think what's important is the quality. If the quality of the event is good and they are doing a good job at what they do, then go for it.
There is a lot of showcase festivals, for sure. I think you could spend every single week of the year at a showcase from January to the end of December. But the fact that there are a lot of showcases and the fact that there are new ones coming up, that shows that there's something there to look for. First of all, the distribution of the music and the way bands and musicians get ahead or get popular has dramatically changed in the past 5-10 years, and no one really knows the right recipe to reach whatever you set as a goal as a musician or as a management, but certainly a showcase couldn't hurt. So if you come and you play and someone invites you to a festival, then you reach your goal or you reach something. If you come and play and nothing happens, you could still benefit on the long run, because then you may go to another one, or someone heard you but didn't do anything, but the next 6 months later sees your video and then was like, I saw them live, and then, you know, things can get moving. But I think at this point at showcase festivals, we as showcase, like I also do a showcase, I think we're just looking for the right recipe at this moment to adjust to how the world has changed, and it has changed dramatically. But we're still here talking about it, so there must be something there.
I totally agree with Danish. For example, it's a cliche, yeah, the music is global, but it's actually true, you know. It's like, it could happen that Spanish artists, for example, could have lots of listeners in Estonia or Hungary, for whatever reason, because people listen to music through their phones, and you know, you can find followers anywhere out of the blue. And if there were no Tallinn Music Week or Bush, they couldn't go and play there or actually meet professionals to book them or work in the countries that they have a lot of listeners. So I think, as you say, there's no harm in.
Yeah, it is. It is. The format of a showcase festival is such an important platform for the newer emerging artists who exactly, you can have the listeners, but you will not get the big booking if you don't have that platform initially. So yeah, and if there is the audience for it, if there's people that want to listen to these names that they've never heard before from wherever in the world, there's the audience for it, then that's amazing, because these kind of music listeners are super important for the whole music scene.
May I say one more thing about the same question? So we almost think sometimes that to do a showcase is almost like a boomer thing, like it's an old school stuff, because everything happens online anyway now. But I believe that it's turning around, because there is now a generation or two generations of artists who grew up without even going to showcase, but like being super pro online and on all the platforms, and they are rediscovering connecting people live, and they come to a showcase, and then they are just, you know, for them it's a new thing. And there is like movements now that people look for music that is not put there in front of them by the algorithm. So a showcase festival is also an opportunity now to say that your everyday is influenced by algorithms, so come here and let your day be influenced by real people who talk to you and convince you to go to their show.
And for a long time, showcase festivals coexisted with traditional festivals. I mean, like you said, you're an emerging band, you played showcase festivals, maybe you get invited to a bigger festival. But of course, the time and money is limited. So do you think that at some point showcase festivals can be a threat to the traditional festivals, as in taking away time and money, you know, the sponsors or people, you can't afford to go, unless you have a lot of money, of course, to travel around Europe from one festival to another. You have to make a choice. So it's sometimes a choice between a traditional festival with a big star or a showcase festival to discover something. Do you think that the smaller showcase festivals can be a threat to the big ones?
You mean for the artists? Or?
No, for the festivals themselves. I mean, because if you have sponsors, somebody has to give you money. Like next festival is also called sponsored by the city and other entities. And so I would imagine there's another traditional festival also fighting for that money and for that time and for that attention. So do you think that, of course, the big name festivals, Coachella or Glastonbury won't go away, but for maybe the medium-sized festivals, maybe showcases are a threat?
I have never thought of it this way, rather the opposite, but maybe that comes from my position. But I don't really think so. It's a very different world, and I mean, I guess in an ideal world there's a balance, so everything is balanced out equally and fairly. I don't know.
I think they're complementary, totally. I mean,
still complementary.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, now not that much anymore, but agents used to go to showcase festivals to find the future headliners, and there were a lot of bookings. Back then, they're still happening, but I mean, I go to the festivals, the showcase festival, to discover talent, and if I like and I believe in someone, I can book them to our big festival in Madrid. So I think they're needed and they step up, and I think they're complementary, basically, yeah.
Can I also add that the way that Tallinn Music Week works is that we, of course, the core of what we do is to support the artists, especially the Estonian emerging talent, but also really the Estonian music companies. So we work with a lot of local festivals, larger, medium-sized, smaller ones, and we really work with them. So actually giving them the platform to, of course, discover artists from all over the world and to make those connections, but also to promote their brand, actually. So at least in our case, also Estonia is extremely small and you cannot really do anything alone. we're very collaborative, and we want it to be like a mutual support.
I think as big festivals are transforming, I don't think showcase festivals are the threat to festivals themselves, but the format of the festival is a threat. I think it's more like as the borders are transforming and disappearing in between musical genres, I think the border in between a showcase festival and a festival could be also a bit more blurry. Which one is a showcase festival and which one is a festival, as the music business transforms and up-and-coming bands get an opportunity by, for example, an export office. Export offices buy the slot at a big festival and pay for the artist to play there. So in that terms, is that a showcase then, or is it a normal festival? I think the border is going away now.
So there is a few showcase festivals that already cross over with mainstream festivals. They have big headliners within the lineup as well, like Line Check in Milan or Iceland Airwaves in Reykjavik. So different types.
All right, guys, and now for the tougher question. Please name 3 artists that actually started with showcase festivals and that you know that showcase festivals helped them to make a career. I'm not talking about artists that were making a career and they made it eventually, but actually that you could pinpoint to 1 or 2 or 3 showcase festivals and that actually helped the artist to break through.
Well, I don't think I can name 5, but
We'll go for 3.
I'm going to talk about my country, Spain, basically. So Rosalía, I saw Rosalía like in a small conference festival, and then, well, not Spanish, but Dua Lipa. I saw her in Eurosonic many years ago. What else? An artist that we're working with her. She's not big, but she's going to be big. It's called Sendejas and Judelín. Judelín, I saw her in. She's from Cádiz in south of Spain, and she's growing fast. And she played in Eurosonic this year. Now she's playing in Coachella last weekend, so magic happens, as I say.
Oh, that's 2. Come on, 1 more. 1 more.
Oh, 1 more. Yeah. Okay. Let me think. I don't know. BTEC, do you know any?
The magic of showcase festivals, not so magical.
I'll come back with 1 more.
Yeah, you can think about it and come back. I have a pretty good, quite recent example from Tallinn Music Week. Estonian metal band Prettian performed 2023, and we collaborate with a newly formed Estonian Heavy Music Association. They now organize our metal stage. And they invited a couple of delegates, specifically from the metal scene. So this one woman, a PR person from Germany, she saw Prettian, absolutely fell in love with the band, started sort of, not managing, but like advising them. And like a year later, they signed with the biggest metal label in Europe, which it's very embarrassing. I don't remember the name now. Maybe someone can help me out. Anyway, a very big label, so that's a very like direct. I mean, I guess also it's a rare occasion that something comes out of a showcase festival so directly. Usually these connections are much more intertwined and things take a lot of time. But that's a good example. Also, the Estonian folk scene, or like modernized folk scene, is doing very well, mostly thanks to showcase festivals. I think we have a couple of bands like, for example, Duo Root and Puuluup. They're doing very well. They're touring massively all over Europe, all over the world, and they still play Tallinn Music Week every year because they know that it is a place where you actually get to perform in front of new people as well. Who else? For example, a recent artist from Estonia again, Kitty Florentine, who also has performed. She only started performing as Kitty Florentine, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. She's played also Tallinn Music Week every year, and now she's also played, I think, she played Bush. She played Siget, I think, last summer, and she's done Eurosonic last year as well. So, of course, playing a showcase festival leads to other showcase opportunities, but also festivals like Siget, for example.
I mentioned that sometimes it takes a while for a band to get picked up. This is a good example. Polish band, I saw them in Krakow, także Briasto festival, a band called Klavo. And they came to talk to me at the speed meeting and told me to go to see their show. And then I realized that when I was part of the system to vote which band to play, I gave them the highest point of the other artists. So I said, okay, I'll go to your show, even though I didn't want to go because it was midnight and I had to leave early next morning. But because they put the energy in and came to talk to me, and they were very nice, so I said, okay, I'll see the show. And I saw the show, and it was great. Nothing happened for a while, but I just said it was a great show. Then I was a jury at a Romanian jazz showcase in Jazz in the Park, and they got into the selection, and they played, and there was 16, 17 bands, and one had to win. And I actually convinced all of the other juries, Klavo, to win, because that other band is more technical, the other that is great on the arrangements, but this band was fun and I would want to see them again. And I think, I don't know if it's official, but they're playing Montreux this year. So yeah, it's a pretty good example, I think, for a band to go to a showcase and then not even instantly, but a bit later benefit. So that's my one of the choices. The other one also played here yesterday, Czech band, I Love You Honey Bunny. I think they are a very hard-working band and always write to the delegates to come and see them and always do everything in their power to get ahead, and it seems like they are doing okay. So that's a good example. I don't know, the third one, I could say a few of the bands that I represent personally. Maybe Jazz Boys would be a good example. That they played Montreux last year, and this year they're playing in Montreal Jazz Festival, but also selling 400, 500, 600 tickets in Western Europe now. So they started off in small showcases. Like their first showcase was the online Eurosonic, so that was really bad because we never get to go to play in Groningen. But then played in Reeperbahn in front of 30 people because the COVID regulations didn't let more people in, and they weren't allowed to dance. That was very specifically told everyone by a nice German person at the door. No tanzen. Literally, they said that very strictly. So no one danced, but they still got to play shows. These are my three.
And tell me, guys, because there's a lot of showcase festivals in Eastern Europe right now, and they're not as established, perhaps, maybe except Tallinn, which is like the big name, as the Western European counterparts, like Reeperbahn, you said, or like The Great Escape. Do you feel there's a difference between the Eastern European showcase festivals and the Western European showcase festival, or are they, because of the format, they're basically the same, but with different lineups and different topics on the panels?
I think also the comparison has to come from the size. I mean, if we talk about the Western European showcase festivals, then it's Eurosonic, Reeperbahn, Great Escape.
I think the Eastern ones are more supportive of the local scenes, which is great because I mean I'm from South Europe, so to come here, it's longer distance as a professional. And I didn't know much about what's happening in Eastern Europe until I started going to Eastern Europe conferences, and the scene is incredible. No matter the languages, no matter the genres, I find incredible electronica, incredible post-punk, incredible metal, coming from incredible jazz. Something that who listens to jazz in my country is like, no, I mean, all blokes. I mean, and I go to Bulgaria, it's incredible young people playing and listening to incredible jazz music and it's incredible jazz festivals. So I think it's really refreshing, and actually the Western part of Europe needs to learn a lot how the Eastern Europe showcases are developed and promoting local scene.
Yeah, I think this diversification is very good. I think also like listeners globally are a little bit tired of the Anglo-centric music maybe, so that helps. But also perhaps because a lot of the Eastern countries, including Estonia, our music industry is extremely young, 30 plus years only since the Soviet Union, so it's just much fresher and rawer because it's just had less time to develop. So if in Western Europe it's had more time and it's maybe, I don't want to say it's gotten more boring, but like it's, you know, it's done its course in some way, then in Eastern Europe it's just developing and in very like various ways, musically as well. There's more variety or new fresh finds to be found.
I agree, and there's two parts of this question. First of all, a big showcase festival has a quite different role than a small one. In the big one, if you already have a quite well advanced and introduced band, then you can get a lot of festival bookings or a new agent on a certain territory because everyone is in the big showcase. But if it's a big showcase, then the competition is much bigger. The small showcases are good to establish good relationships, because if you even meet with the same person on Reeperbahn, you're going to get 5 minutes. If you meet the same person here, you might get 30 minutes. On the other hand, if we put this question into Eastern and Western European context, we founded Bush because we believe that just because we are from Eastern Europe, there is not less talent here. But if you look at Western European festivals lineup, Eastern Europe is like non-existent. When Europe is all about equality here, equality there, gender and everything, that's great. But there's no positive discrimination for Eastern European artists. And we are also here. And I think it's much more exciting scene. There are great festivals, there are great artists, and there is great new voice. We always do more for less than a Western European band, and it's simply a market question. Well, Poland is a pretty strong market, so it's not a good example, because even if you never step foot out of Poland, you could still have a pretty okay career as a musician and play a lot of shows. But Hungary, and especially Estonia, there's like, okay, you play Tallinn, and then you could. There's not many things you could do. So I think Eastern European showcase festivals are exciting. And yes, Bush is even saying that it's not a Hungarian showcase festival. We're not putting a huge highlight on the Hungarian artist. We are saying that it's an Eastern European showcase festival that happens to be in Budapest. And this way I can also invite more delegates and more agents and more labels from Western Europe, because I'm not going to try to sell them 35 Hungarian bands. I'm just going to try to sell them 5. But there's 5 Polish and 5 Czech. And so it's, I think that's an important part for a showcase also, to think globally and try to show itself more desired by agents and just people who want to see the scene.
I wanted to reflect on the smallness bit. It's the story that the founder of Tallinn Music Week, Helen, always tells. Her friend Anna Hildur from Iceland, from the Icelandic music industry, once said, when they were also kind of, thinking about how to support the music scene, they reached the understanding that it's export or die, because it's such a small country, you are not able to have a sustainable career just based on the population of that country. So I think that's the case also for many small markets, that you have to work harder, perhaps, to make it sustainable.
And tell me, guys, because we're living in times where everything is political, and Last year, there was a good example when the established South by Southwest, one of the most important showcase festivals in the world, probably the biggest one, fell into the trap of inviting financially the American Army and CIA to be co-sponsors, and 100 or something British bands canceled their shows at South by. There was a huge backlash. And they backwalked it, and they don't invite the Army or CIA anymore to the festival. But tell me, is it hard do you think, for showcase festivals to navigate in those waters today with the governments perhaps wanting some bands to play or not wanting some bands to play? And you recall it's not a showcase festival, but Coachella, with a huge backlash of the Irish band Kneecap making pro-Palestine statements. They were almost getting cancelled, and Ozzy Osbourne's wife Sharon Stone called for revoking their visas and not letting them into the United States ever again. So even Coachella got political, with Coachella being the hedonistic, capitalistic, probably heaven on earth. So tell me, cutting short to the question, do you think that showcase festivals can fall in a political trap, or do they have to navigate those waters, or because they're so small and different that they're kind of immune to this threat?
Well, it's a very interesting question. I mean, obviously, artists are free to speak out, and everybody should respect the decisions. I was in South by Southwest, I named the festival, when this happened, and mainly British and especially Irish artists pulled out. But there is always two ways of seeing the thing. I mean, they knew that sponsor was there for months before, so why did they go there? That's my question. To make a statement? I mean, if you don't agree with the sponsor, I mean, if you dig in the sponsors, you will find a lot of things behind everybody, So why did they go? I respect any kind of decision. I brought my Spanish artist to play in South by Southwest, and nobody pulled out. So it's an artist decision, and everybody should respect that, obviously. Regarding if showcase festivals should get political or not, I think panels are great to show activism anyhow, as we're doing here, especially like with making festivals and the music industry more like less misogynist, more ecologist, etc., etc. Politics, always, we live in a political situation, especially in Europe, so Estonia is next to who we all know who, and I have great friends in Ukraine Music Expo, so I think we should talk about these things, especially things that are really close to us.
Yeah, Tallinn Music Week has always had this layer of politics and activism in it. It's like ingrained in the festival, in the conference already. This year it happened, we don't really have focus countries, but each year there are some countries that kind of come into focus, and this year it ended up being Ukraine, Taiwan, and Canada, amongst others, which Canada is a long-term collaborator of us for 11, I think it was our 11th year, and we would have never expected them to be also in this, having a bit of a hostile neighbor. So that was unexpected, but that's how it was, and we discussed these topics in the conference as well. And yeah, I can bring an example. I think it's important to touch on these subjects very sensitively, and this like throwing out slogans and making very reactional decisions it's a very sensitive subject. But for example, in the year 2022, when the war started in Ukraine, Tallinn Music Week used to always have quite strong ties with the Russian music industry, the underground, the more underground liberal side of it, of course. And in 2022, we had already the program ready, and we were about to announce the largest number of Russian artists we've ever had playing at Tallinn Music Week. The war started, I think, 3 days before we had planned our announcement. Of course, we didn't announce. the whole world, or at least in Estonia, was on standby for a week or two, and we started discussing what do we do. Also, this topic of these people, these collaborators of us in Russia, they of course don't support the regime, they don't support the war, but of course at the same time we cannot still continue supporting them or have them play if this puts Ukrainians in an uncomfortable or unpleasant situation. What we ended up doing was that we had a Zoom call with all of those Russian artists and our collaborators, dear friends for a long time, and we had this call, and they all agreed, except for one. They all agreed. They said, yes, we understand. Of course, we're not coming. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody knows how long this kind of pause on the diplomatic relationships is going to be. And yeah, we made the decision, I think, in a very sort of, I don't know, considerate way that we talked to both. We also talked to the Ukrainians, of course. So, yeah.
I mean, I think we live in a super over-politicized world, so my intention is not to add to this subject, especially that there's nothing wrong with politics, but it's wrong when you talk politics and then you do super simplified statements or like the kneecap example. Because they said that, pro-Palestinians, or because they speak up against a genocide, that doesn't mean that they are like racist or something. So this is a very sensitive subject, and there are super many points of views, and people don't tend to think of the other side's point of view. So in Hungary, the government doesn't necessarily support Bush too much. But the EU doesn't really support us either, because we are Hungarians, so then we're just the middle, and we didn't say anything, we didn't do anything. It's not my fault that we are Hungarian. I don't know what to say to this question. We're political, everyone is political, and we shouldn't keep that under a rug. But also it's very dangerous to just start shouting words because of political reasons, because there are like, I have some friends who are still in Russia, for example, and they work in the music industry, and they cannot come to here. Some left the country, some didn't leave the country because they had families or a relative that couldn't move from there, and then if they deny the system in Russia, then they can go to prison. So do I judge that person for staying there? It's always a difficult thing to say that, that he's a bad person because he stayed in his home country taking care of their relatives, and not saying that fuck Putin, So it's...
Also, there's been cases, I'm not going to give any names, obviously, but of artists bullying young artists because how can you play there if they have that sponsor or whatever, that's pretty bad in my humble opinion. Everybody's free to choose if they play or not.
And tell me, please, just sticking on the subject a little bit, if there's a topic or a theme that you missed a little bit at the panels at showcase festivals, what would it be? Do you think all the important things about music industry are being discussed right now at showcase festivals? Or perhaps there's a theme that should be explored more, I don't know, ecology, or perhaps politics, or law, or the technical side? Is there something that you feel that is missing in those many, many talks that are being held all over Europe? Because if you would gather all the panels from all the showcase festivals in Europe, you would have like probably 100-day conference and just with endless themes. But is there something missing in your opinion?
There's always something missing. I'm happy to see many panels on artists and music professionals' mental health happening around Europe, so that's pretty cool. I'm missing more panels on making a united market in the European, especially in the European Union, which is why we're all here, to try to create a more touring and business market within Europe, so people from Hungary and Estonia can meet me and play in Spain and more exchange. We need to make a bigger market. Maybe I'm missing that kind of unity panel.
I'm putting together the program for the Bush conference every year, and I think there's no subject that has not been talked about. So yeah, we talk all the time. That may be the problem.
Yeah, I cannot think of anything right now. As a conference organizer, I think we also, if there's a subject that I really want to see, then we can make it happen.
Danish, you said that you don't get much support from the government or from the European Union. And this would be my next question. Do you feel that showcase festivals should seek support from local governments and from European Union and perhaps fall into a little bit of trap of being kind of, being pushed around or being told what to do or not to do? Or should they stand on their own, seek sponsors and remain full 100% freedom of doing what they want?
In an ideal world, then they should be free and independent.
In today's world.
Independent from in today's world, I think it's impossible. And I think if you look at just clearly a showcase festival, what does a showcase festival do? It generates need or demand for artists, and it generates business. Therefore, a local government, if you bring a showcase to Poznan, if I bring a showcase to Budapest, then the local governments need to support it, because that's actually their interest to bring tax-paying money to the given market. And in that term, yes, I think it's something that a state should finance from the taxpayers' money. And private money is always welcome. In some cases, there are really good examples for private money and showcase. But since these artists that the showcase festivals have, they are not that valuable on a market value, it's always more difficult to bring in a sponsor to a showcase than to a big festival who has A-list stars. So yeah, showcase needs to try to be independent, needs to know what they do, but I think we at Bush have no choice of whose money we take. When we went to South by Southwest last year, it has not even occurred that we would cancel that show. I mean, it means so much to a band from Eastern Europe to be able to go to South by and invest all that money to go over there. And then I think it's too big of a luxury to cancel, because you go there once. It's not like you get on a metro 2 stops and you're in Austin, Texas. So yeah, I think we don't have the luxury of choosing what money we take.
Agree. And you don't want politicians choosing artists. They normally have really bad taste anyway. So, but I believe in private leading with public support, especially like in our continent. Obviously, when you organize a showcase, festival, and conference, it's not a money-making machine project. You're supporting the local scene. You're putting your city into the world map. So that's why you need to obviously get some support in marketing and funding, because you're putting, in our example, Madrid has the city government, the regional government, the federal government, and the European government. So everybody should support that project, because we're putting Madrid in the map, in the circuit. Same with festivals as well. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking the institutions can support in many ways, especially in marketing. They own all the screens everywhere in every city. So I believe in working together with public institutions, and they do their job and we do our job. So again, don't let them choose the artist.
Yeah, if there are showcase festivals that can comfortably work without any public funding, then good for them. We definitely could not. We have good relationships with both the city and the government. I mean, yeah, as Cesare said, it's not a money-making machine. I don't think anyone starts a showcase festival to earn a lot of money. We are in the service of the Estonian, European, if you may, music sector, cultural sector, and the wider public really. So it perfectly makes sense that we have public funding as well. I looked up the numbers. There's a research from 2023 in Estonia that says that an average international festival visitor brings in 433 euros. An average conference visitor brings in 800 something euros. And the recent a research as well by BÖF, our big film festival that takes place in October. They just recently showed their numbers. Their research says that €1 of public funding from the government that goes into the festival brings back 6.9 euros to Estonia. So I think this kind of explains that, first of all, we need the support, but then again, we're bringing a lot back to the city and the country that we only get back a little fraction, which is the ticket. We don't get the accommodation, the food and everything else that the visitor spends their money on in Tallinn.
And then we could relate this to music tourism. Music tourism is a massive business. I mean, in my country, like a country of festivals, people come from all over the world to festivals in Spain. So, I mean, a conference like Tallinn Music Week, the music scene in Estonia can attract a lot of tourism and obviously money and business into the country. So obviously there is a return for the institutions.
Okay, guys, and coming back to music a little bit for now. Tell me, because if you're watching all the other showcase festivals in Europe right now, do you feel there are musical trends that actually are important right now? Because all the showcase festivals, most of them, are really diverse. You get your Polish jazz, you get your Hungarian folk, you get your Italian metal band. But are they trends that actually kind of, when you look at them, you say, all right, so this is the jazz time, this is the time for folk music, or this is the time for indie music or hip-hop, or it doesn't work that way?
I think I have an answer to this. I think there are so many pockets now in the music ecosystem that there is a need for everything. 35, 40 years ago, you put a band on a billboard like Madonna, and everyone knew that Madonna is down and is going to play in the stadium, and she's going to play in the stadium, and that's going to happen. Now, you go to a major city, and there is a different arena or a stadium show every day, and there may be 10, 20,000 people at the show, and still maybe 90% of the population of the given city have never even heard about the artist. So now it's this time of the internet changed everything. So there are so many subcultures that there's not one famous. There's not Beatles anymore. There's 1,000 Beatles, but they're much less known, and they all do well. So on a showcase as well. For me, yeah, I can see that there is a new jazz scene that's coming, and it's not even taking over the old jazz scene. It comes next to it, so they coexist, and I pay attention to that. But maybe Cesar is paying attention to something else. So I've got my little bubble and little pockets, and he's got his little bubble, and we both find our favorite act here in Poznan, for example.
And I think young people these days are more open-minded when I was a teenager. You know, they listen to many genres that they enjoy, from metal to electronica to different, world music and stuff that, when I was young, I'm punk, I can't listen to that, I don't like that, or whatever. I only like Anglo-Saxon music. Young people are super open-minded these days, so it's more widespread. I mean, they listen to music on their phones, and if they like a beat, if they like a song, even if that's why language is, for me, it's not a barrier anymore as it was before, because they don't care where the artist is from. So that's opening, the business to everybody, because the audience is out there with really open hearts and ears.
Yeah, I don't know if you can call it a trend, but like I already mentioned, the Estonian folk scene that is doing quite well, but yeah, they have been for a while. I think maybe they're just reaching larger audiences right now. So some of the very strong success stories are from the Estonian folk scene for us. But actually, a funny phenomenon in Estonia, and I don't know if in other countries as well, is that young people, very young, early 20s or even younger, freshly 18-year-olds, are very into this nostalgic music. Like some of the biggest parties are parties that are just playing 2000s pop hits. And it's these young DJs who are also musicians themselves, making very cool, very forward-looking music, but then they pack out a big club of 600 youngsters who just want to listen to early 2000s pop hits, which is interesting. And maybe for someone that is very into this emerging music, new music, is a little bit alarming or scary. But then again, if they're having fun and hopefully also discovering new stuff on the side, then it's okay.
Yeah, I woke up this morning checking Instagram, like we all do, and I saw this really cool map of genres, popular genres in Europe. Spain, reggaeton. And reggaeton is from Puerto Rico, from the slums of Puerto Rico and Colombia, so it's it's so mainstream. Vitek, that is my Polish colleague, he lives in Madrid, he can say that it's true. What I'm saying is reggaeton is massive in Spain, then hip hop in France, folk is the biggest music genre in Ireland, pop obviously is in most of the countries in Europe. Every country is different, basically.
Yeah, because all of these genres and subcultures, we all coexist next to each other, and we sit next to each other on a panel or on the bus on the way to work. But we are existing in completely different realities, and that's not only the music, but everything that we hear and we read. We open the same social media platform, Instagram, and my feed is going to be full of what I follow, and your feed is going to be completely different. And then I tell you, have you heard about this? It's my feed is full of this new band, and it's no, my feed is full of something else. So we coexist next to each other, and that's influencing not only our musical taste, but our everyday lives as well.
But to reflect on this, listeners being very bubbled into very far away from each other categories. Tallinn Music Week is a multi-genre festival, so we literally have everything from classical to metal, funk, everything that's in between. And we, in our delegates feedback questionnaire, we also asked the delegates what do they think of this multi-genre approach, and do they actually discover artists in genres that they don't normally work with. And the responses are always overwhelmingly positive, that the delegates really think that this is a value, because exactly we are in our own bubbles, and if you don't have these platforms to slightly get out of your bubble, then you have a very closed circle.
And staying a little bit on this topic, because showcase festivals bring not only people from different countries and from different music styles and genres, but also from different generations. It's probably one of the few artistic events that bring middle-aged white dudes with up-and-coming young artists. And tell me, how important is that for you guys, do you think, to actually this melting down the gap between generations, or how important is to get the old people from the pre-internet era, the dinosaur era, with the kids that have been raised on internet and on Spotify and all those streaming services? How important is it for them to bring them together and to talk and to learn from one another? Do you think this happens at showcase festivals, or it doesn't perhaps?
It's very important for us, at least, and I think, I don't know, I think I've been to different festivals that in some of them you can see that. In some, the room is full of these 25 to 30-year-old average music listeners, so it very much differs. But it's not just bringing together younger and older generations, but people in general from various walks of life, and just the power of music bringing people together is is extremely strong and important and shouldn't be underestimated. Our team also organizes another festival called Station Narva, which takes place in the border city between Estonia and Russia. And that's exactly why we do it. It's a very highly Russian-speaking community. Like 96% of the people living there are Russian-speaking. And so far they have been living, not of course all of them, but a lot of them have been living in a very different information field and forces. So we understand where that's coming from. So that's our tool to help integration in Estonia, because we like to say that like once you dance together next to someone, then you're going to be friends. Because even if you don't speak the same language or you don't have the same worldview, the fact that you spend positive time with another person shows you that actually that person is not that different from you, and you don't have that many differences that you thought before.
Yeah, that was very beautiful, and I completely agree with it. And music is a tool that can bring people together, so we always need to focus on that, not focusing on why we are different. Because there are enough people telling us in the world why we are different and why we should not like the other one. But the generational question was also good, and this comes down in generations. We just realized slowly, because this is going to be the 10-year anniversary of Budapest Showcase Hub, Bush, and we looked around and said, okay, well, we are now not the youngest generation, so we are actually focusing on involving new generations into programming, into the conference as well, because we don't want to lose touch just because we are boomers now. So try to understand all of the generations and involve them and encourage collaboration, cooperation, and to speak, because if we speak, then we will understand the other one, and that's actually an important topic of a showcase, because that is a melting pot. Showcase is about music, and music is bringing people together and not separating them.
Yeah, of course, and it's also coming back to like the age thing. It's very important for us as well, and we've taken it more into focus recently to attract more young people. As we, I think, all know as well, like the listening habits and concert and festival going habits of young people is changing. So we've also introduced, like, I don't know, cheaper tickets, cheaper pro passes for young people interested in the music industry to come to the conference, actually, because I think it can be very intimidating as a very young, fresh person who's very enthusiastic, but maybe doesn't have that much experience, doesn't have that many contacts. To actually go to one of these events, it can be extremely scary. To kind of encourage that more. And also, yeah, to just the music events as well. We work together with the city of Tallinn to offer cheaper tickets to youngsters as well, and it's important and an interesting challenge to get the young people back fully.
Yeah, you guys gave me a really good idea. It's opening the conferences and the showcase festivals to families and kids, because at the end of the day, it happen during the day, so it would be really cool to have activations for kids and you know, even us professionals bringing young kids to conferences and learn how mommy and daddy, where they work and meet from the beginning the music industry and music from early ages.
This actually, you touched upon the topic that I would like to ask you, because Showcase is a fairly simple format. It's panels during the day, concerts during the night. It's no rocket science. But some things get stale. And tell me, do showcase festivals have to be aware and now not to be boring at some point? I mean, do you feel there's a need to reach out to, I don't know, put in perhaps some movies or put in food from the local scene, or do, I don't know, round trips around the city for the people that are coming over to get to know the city and the place they're coming, which that is important. So do you have to be aware of those things that at some point you might get boring is too much, but stale as in just stuck in the format?
I was just saying that because we speak for 90 minutes, let's just put in a really good clip in them halfway to just freshen up a little bit. That's what you're talking about. But yeah, of course. I mean, if you come to Bush, then we try to show every time something special to our guests. Like we organize a vinyl tour for the coolest vinyl shops in downtown. We do a boat trip on the river Danube, and then we tell you fun facts about the city, but not the usual ones, but something more refreshing. Because, I mean, if you're at a showcase and you listen to serious talks like this, then it becomes very heavy. So it's spicing up with food or with some culture, but in an entertaining way is always the way to go, I think.
I think
like the party tram yesterday, yeah, which is beautiful. That was great. Like, I think it gave me so much to get on that party train as much as sitting through a 90-minute talk.
I think it's super important for a showcase, a conference to be successful, especially with the delegates, the part of the delegate tour, because obviously apart from finding music and making networking and possible trade and business is getting into the city, discovering the culture of the country and the city, and that's super important for me when I go to this or that conference. I've been to conferences that the conference is far away from the city, and then it doesn't work well, you know, distances and etc. etc. I think, as you say, I mean, maybe I will join you this year in Korea in Seoul, because I heard incredible things. Creating a family of delegates and meeting each other and pulling each other to a concert and then going to a bar or I remember in White Days in Edinburgh, they do this city tour, but they do like a music tour. It's not like, we're going to say that statue or whatever, you know, well, Thin Lizzy played in that venue in 1969, or this venue was the Sex Pistols' first show in Scotland. So that's, you know, that kind of culture and music tour is really important for me.
Yeah, of course, we work hard every year to not be boring and stale, and we always try to like reinvent things, but I think paradoxically we have gone a little bit other way. In like 2016, 17, 18, Tallinn Music Week was huge. So people got a little bit confused, like, is it still Tallinn Music Week? Because there's design, there's films, there's food, there's art, there's like so much happening. So we've actually dialed it down because we didn't want to lose the focus from music. We still do city events as well. Tallinn, the city, is a supporter of us, so it's also our responsibility to showcase the city. But not just because of the funding, but we really love the city as well, and we want the international delegates to find out about it as well. But I think, yeah, it's very important because also all the music industry people are people that have other interests beside music as well. And usually the people working in music are very cool people who like very cool things. So if your city has those things, then of course you should offer them. But also, like, when we talk about, for example, the conference program, every year we have these conversations on like how to make it more interesting, how not just have 2 days of 60-minute panels from morning to evening and then people go to the showcases. We want to try out different formats. We're trying to create a lot of content for artists specifically, to have them, like, encourage them to take part more and so on. So we're like constantly trying to reinvent and create things better, because it's very important. I think, like, if it was just very dry music industry topics during the daytime and just the music showcases in the evening, then I don't think a lot of delegates would travel just for that.
And showcases are also traditional in this format, that we sit together and we talk. There's public and there's concert in the evening. And when the COVID came and everything got stopped and shut down, everybody jumped to online stuff. It became the big thing, and technology suddenly became really important. So I'm interested, do you feel, how do you feel new technology could be used to advance showcase festivals? Is there something that you feel, I don't know, from AI to other stuff, do you think this can be implemented in showcase festivals for the benefit of the festivals, or like you said the fact that we're meeting together and talking together is the core value of showcase festivals.
Yeah, I think technology, of course, can help and support in some ways, but I think the main, like, we could have all these meetings and discussions online easily, but it's just not the same effect. You need to be in the same room with the people and hang out with them also outside of these panels, for example. It's very important.
You gotta integrate all of the new tools and technology the way that you don't lose the human touch. A very simple example, there is a limited space in this room and there were panels that were absolutely full house, but you can actually listen to, in the main building, to what we talk over headphones. And that's just a simple tool that you use well, and then you get the message to more people. Of course, AI, everyone talks about AI. It is changing our lives probably more significantly when the internet came in. We don't see, I think, half of it, how it's going to change our lives yet, but we know about it already. But again, using technology is always important to stay afloat, to stay current, but understanding that not losing the basic human touch, which after your first question, we discussed that the biggest value of a showcase is that we are here together and then we connect, and normally we wouldn't connect. We couldn't do this showcase over Zoom. Although it's great to do the production team meeting over Zoom and not go into an office and take half hour going there and going back. So, of course, that helps. But when it comes to the showcase, it's nice to be here. And the measurement of how successful we are is that normally I take out my phone every 1.5 minutes from my pocket, but when we are in a showcase and hanging out in the evening and going to see shows together, I only check my phone every 35 minutes, and that's like a huge achievement.
And yeah, I think the sort of favor that the COVID time did us is that, everything is a little bit more seamless, exactly like, online meetings are so normalized, and it's perfect. It's very efficient, and it's saving us a lot of time and a lot of resources. We still have the conference also online, so you can watch it online, which is great. I mean, if you don't want to travel from the other side of the world, you don't have to do that. Also, accessibility-wise, people with, strong social anxiety or like physical disability who cannot come to the conference can still watch it. And also, we record the panels, so for journalists who want to later reflect on the panels, they can rewatch it. For ourselves as well, we can revisit the panels that have taken place, but it never takes away the physical being in the same room. And also for live music, there's a reason why online gigs are not really a big thing. They could have become if they were that good, but nothing beats being in the room with the rest of the audience watching the band.
Do you guys have any questions from the public? Do you want to know something from panelists?
Or if you know a good joke, that's also welcome.
There's one question over there.
Hello, my name is Piotr, and I have a question to you because in Poland lately there is a lot of talks about alcohol and drugs in music industry, and a lot of people and artists are talking about sober life. And for example, yesterday it was a panel here about sober living. And I wanted to ask, how is it important topic in your countries and in your in music industries in your countries? Because, for example, there is one big Polish festival in Poland called Męskie Granie. It's something like music for real men, and this is a big festival which is, very supported by a beer called Żywiec, and it's a very important Polish music festival for artists, but also it's a very big alcohol commercial. This festival, it's a big commercial of alcohol, and sometimes artists doesn't have a choice, and they want to perform on important festival, but also there will be also included in a big beer commercial. And how do you see this topic in your countries?
I think we have a bigger problem than having a beer commercial behind you when you perform. I mean, that's not ideal if you don't want to support alcohol. But the Hungarian government just accepted 2 weeks ago the most strict drug policy of Europe, and they are putting weed and all these synthetics in the same category. So it's criminalizing it heavily, and it's quite obvious from studies and from practices all around the world that that's not going to stop the consumption. So it's not going to help on the situation, but rather make it worse, because if they just catch someone who's got a good life and adding to the GDP, now can go to prison, or they can just simply lose their jobs. And on the other hand, because not only the music industry, but the whole way of living has changed dramatically in the past years. I know I said this before, but this always can be led back to this problem. Then now an artist has to do so much more than before. Before it was enough if you were amazing on guitar and the best out of everyone on guitar, and then you could do a career. Now there are those bands that maybe the other musicians would follow and love because they're so special, but they would never make it to big festivals and get bigger following because they are unable to cope or check all the little boxes. They're maybe not really good online, they're not good speakers, the brand is not amazing, even though they are so talented. It's just not interesting enough for the 15-second social media world. And therefore, there is a big movement of artists who are using less and less substances, alcohol, drugs, coffee, anything, and just focusing much more on everything else. It is like a professional sports person. So if you are like big and you go from city to city to country performing artist, you have to go to bed right after you came off stage. But that's impossible because when you come off stage, you are full of adrenaline and there's something that you need to get it out. And that's when the substances come, or even before the show in some cases. But it's difficult to stay focused and be there at every single step and part of your career. It's not only that you have to play music now, you have to do 35 other things. And if you only do 18 of those 35, it doesn't matter if you drink or take drugs or not, people will not listen to your music.
Yeah, nowadays, if you're like, not only top artists, but I mean, if you make a living of being an artist and a musician, you need to be an athlete, basically. I mean, the non-stop touring is exhausting. Imagine playing 5 stadiums on a row during 2 months, It's like, you need to be an athlete, so that's what's happening these days. The other issue is the mental health of that. The stress the artists are like under because of the crazy touring, and we know so many stories of artists canceling and pulling out and need a break because I've been touring for like whole year non-stop, every month non-stop. So it's crazy. So yeah, that is sportsmen and sportswomen these days. Yeah.
It's not a big topic in Estonia at all. not saying that it's not an issue, it definitely is, but it's just not talked about, not in the music scene, but also I think like wider as well. I think Estonia is very conservative on that side, so that drug policies are not really a topic. They might become a topic soon, but not at the moment. And yeah, I don't know, music industry is a very unhealthy place in all different ways, unfortunately, and I think it's great that it's more talked about, and it's amazing when you can be in this industry, whether as an artist or on the other side, and live a healthy life. That's absolutely amazing, and I think these like positive examples should be put more into focus. But about this, maybe being an artist that doesn't want to support alcohol playing at a festival, the festival really needs that alcohol brand and their money, and it just is what it is. I think if the artist themselves is confident enough and talking about the issue confidently and making sure the fans and the audience like knows their opinion and their stance, then it's okay to have a few photos with the alcohol logo behind your back. But yeah, the festival really needs that money, so yeah.
Just one more sentence. As it's a choice of yours if you're gonna play a genre of music that millions would listen to, or if you're gonna play some super experimental stuff that only 10 people each city listens to, that's also your choice if you're gonna perform on a stage that has an alcohol brand ad, even if you don't agree with it, or not to perform. But if you don't, then you might ruin your chances for the future, and then you are taking away the opportunity from yourself to tell people how bad alcohol is. So it's probably, even if you, in this concrete case, let's say an artist doesn't agree with alcohol and to perform or not to perform on a festival that's sponsored by a brand, then you may do more for your anti-alcoholism if you perform and then get famous and then tell people alcohol's shit. You know, it's more effective. So maybe it's wise not to make simplified choices.
Okay, one last question. I started the panel with asking about your favorite and best showcase experience, and now you don't have to name names, but I'd like to ask you in the end about your worst showcase festival experience that you ever had, and why was it the worst?
I haven't had a horrible one.
Never?
It's a very hard question, and you're putting us in a really hard position.
No, you don't have to name names, so it's like you can go around it a little bit, but...
I know one. I've been to a showcase. It wasn't bad. It was just no people on it. And it was in Poland too, C-Zone, and I don't think it exists anymore in this form, in Dansk. And I brought a band, and this was a long time ago, and we were scheduled to play at like 6 or something, so a quite early one in a club, and we went to the club to do the sound check, and I kind of suspected that looking around the area even, I don't think anyone is going to show up at this showcase, and that's pretty bad if you travel half a day there and back to play for no one. That's pretty disappointing. So I ran to the conference, which was like 15 minutes from where the club was, and they were just finishing the last panel. And whoever I recognized, I just said, now you're coming to see this band. And I managed to get about 5 or 6 people to the show. So we made it to the show. There was an audience of 5, plus me, and we got 2 bookings out of it. So it wasn't a bad experience.
That was a good experience. It's like...
Yeah, but it was still terrifying.
It's a very lame example, but I was at one of the major conferences and showcase festivals, and I walked like 30 minutes to go to a gig. I was a little bit early, and I still didn't get in, and then I had to walk back another 30 minutes, and I missed out on everything I wanted to see that night, I think, because of that one thing. It was after it was after COVID, so I think they were a little bit oversold anyway. So all the venues were extremely full. So I think it's a struggle to keep capacity under control at these kinds of events when you have people walking around with festival passes going wherever. You know, you have these hype acts that everyone wants to see, that everyone cannot see because the room is going to be full, and then other times you have half empty rooms. So managing capacity is a very interesting struggle that showcase organizers have to deal with, and predicting people's wishes and movements.
Yeah, in my case, obviously, I try always to be positive, and same as Danish. I've been to panels, I've been 3 people, and they come here, sit with us, and we all chat, having a coffee, and all the panels are big theaters and fully packed. Festivals with who the heck book these people here, you know, the really bad quality of music and no good curation. Some other conferences that's so big that you get really stressed, you know, all the artists come to you and they try to convince you to book them just because you are who you are or whatever. Speed meetings of many hours, really exhausting, but you know, it's our job, and I really enjoyed it everywhere, like small from medium to big ones that massive queues and you can get into the shows and then you're like fully packed. So yeah, not bad experiences. It's like, as I said before, the more the merrier, and there's still more to come. I mean, we're in Europe, as I said, there is incredible music in Latin America, and in Africa I go to Visa for Music in Rabat. In Morocco, there is incredible music, what is happening in super exciting music, super modern and incredible business for the future for Europeans. And especially for us in Spain, we are like a very special country in Europe because we are like Southern Europe connected to Africa and super bridging with Latin America. So we always look at Latin America as our first export continent to go. And we always say that we forgot about Europe, and that's what I'm trying to do with the Spanish Wave and bringing Spanish artists across Europe. But not only for Spanish, like for you guys, Europeans, Eastern Europeans, they are far away. If you get to play to Spain, the Latin American bookers and promoters are going to be, hey, who is this artist from Estonia or Hungary playing in Mad Cool? There must be a reason that they are playing there, so they keep an eye for it, and then it's a real good bridge to break through Latin America. There's the fastest growing music industry in the world. Mexico is like heaven. It's like, you know, the young people are hungry for music. They're super, super passionate. They fill all the rooms, the stadiums, and you know, it's like, I can't stress enough that, you know, we have in Spain like a really good open doors for Europe music into Latin America. To break through US or United Kingdom, it's really hard for us, for all of us as Europeans. So we need to get very united and look at Africa and Asia and Latin America.
I like that positive note at the end. That was really good. Thank you, Cesar.
That's my activism.
Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for the panelists. Please, round of applause.
Thank you.